Welcome back to Nickals and Dimes, the #1 podcast in combat sports. Today, we welcome to the studio Levi Haines, a national champion wrestler for Penn State, multiple-time All-American, expert hunter. We're going to talk about, pretty much those things, wrestling, his upbringing, how he's become so competitive and so good, and then talk a lot about hunting and, some of his other interests. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let's get into the show. So not what you expected, the studio.
No, not at all.
No?
Not at all. I like it, though.
Yeah.
It's a nice setup.
Yeah, we try to, make it nice.
We need some more skulls.
Yeah, some more mounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple on the way. I got 2 Axis. I got 1 shoulder mount and 1 Euro. That ringtail cat, I got a full body mount.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, and then I actually have a lot of mounts coming in. I have a mule deer shoulder mount. It's like full velvet. It's pretty sweet. And then my bear.
That's sweet.
So those are all on the way.
Did you get that a full body?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the coolest part, honestly, about the bear, as far as the full body mount's gonna be sick, but I like the skull.
The skull, yeah,
It's gonna be
those are
crazy.
sweet.
They're literally it's like that box with the little rock in it. It's like bigger than that.
That's
in
crazy.
all proportions. Like it's just a massive skull.
Yeah, I think in pictures it doesn't do justice to the sheer size of them. They are so massive.
Yeah, yeah. You do you have a bunch of mounts and stuff like that?
I have a couple. I have a lot of European mounts
Euro?
for deer. I have 1 shoulder mount, but I just don't have a whole lot of room to put stuff. So I like the European mounts too because you can pick them up and hold them, and I enjoy that.
I think the Euro mounts look classy. Like the shoulder mounts look good too, but I think it's just it's a classy look.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just got one of the turkeys I killed this past spring. I got a tail fan. They call it wall art.
Yeah,
it's one of those. I got one of those done.
That's cool.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Is it in a frame or is it just is it fanned out?
It's not in a frame, but it's on a board fanned out, and then it has some of the chest feathers behind it, and then some wing feathers and stuff.
Yeah.
So
have you seen the ones they do in frames?
Yeah,
they're cool.
Yeah, those are neat.
Yeah, the turkeys have you see them maybe from a distance or whatever, and you're big brown bird. Here we go. But then you get up closer, you get the light right on their feathers, and they're so cool.
Yeah, they have an iridescent look to them.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. They're neat creatures.
Yeah, neat. And then down in Florida, they have a different type. It's called Osceola, and they're crazy looking.
Really?
Like a peacock almost.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah, we're all hunters here. So, do you have a dream hunt?
Yeah, I want to go to Alaska and hunt Dall sheep in the mountains, but it's pretty. It's very expensive, and you have to do it with a guide and stuff, and the tags are hard to get. So I don't know if I ever be able to do that. So that's why I'm calling my dream hunt.
He's got a guy.
He's got a guy for everything.
Yeah. I've never heard of sheep hunting before.
Yeah,
but he was saying the guy that we had on from Kuyu.
Yeah, so we had he's runs Kuyu. His technical title is Chief Hunting Officer, but this guy that I know is a good friend. His name's Brendan. He did the podcast a month ago maybe, and he's killed everything, bro.
That's awesome.
He's a couple animals away from his Grand Slam with a bow.
That's wild.
He's killed I don't even know how many huge bulls and so many sheep. So he's I went to his house and we went to the garage and I looked up in the rafters and there was probably, I would say 12 to 15 bulls, all minimum 360.
Yeah, that's unreal.
360 to
that's
400.
A giant bull.
That's that's as big as it gets. And he had over a dozen of them for sure. Yeah. He built an entire, basically it's a giant metal building just for his
big
mounts.
pole building for his mounts.
Yeah, exactly. Big pole building, and it's
you've killed a lot of big bulls when you start just hanging the 360s up in the rafters.
Yeah, no big deal. 360 euros, nothing crazy. And then it's the way it's set up, it's gonna look like a Cabela's. It's ridiculous.
That's neat.
He killed a bull. It was actually the state record in Montana for a while. I don't know if it still is, but he killed it in the early 2000s, and it's at this boot store in downtown Bozeman called Schnee's, and dude, the thing looks like a literal dinosaur. It's like a 400 and something inch bull. It's there's a bull next to it that's a 380, and it looks like it could eat that bull.
Yeah.
Like it's that big. It's like the difference between like 380 and 400 is it looks like a different animal. It's crazy. It looks like
crazy.
Yeah, it's like the difference between like a elk and a moose. That's what it looked like. I was like, well, why does that moose have elk antlers? Yeah. So Dall sheep in Alaska, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I'd say that'd probably be my dream hunt.
Do with
just
your-
because like the physicalness of it, I think would be cool. And then packing like the camp on your back and stuff.
Yeah.
I just would like that experience.
You do with your trad bow?
I would try
Really?
at least.
Try?
Yeah.
Bring a rifle maybe?
Yeah. I don't know. I
Do you
feel like
feel
if
like-
I'm going to do it, I would have to do it with the stick bow just
You
because
have
that's
to.
what I want to do it. Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
I
even
feel like if I shot it with a gun, I'd be like, well, I'll never know.
right. You would rather like do it with the stick bow or not do it at all.
Yeah. I'd rather eat tag soup than.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Because I'd always just wonder then, like, oh, could I have done it?
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I
definitely
respect that.
doable. Guys have done it. So
For sure.
it's doable for sure.
Have you seen that video from forever ago of Fred Bear killing that giant bear with?
Where he's like behind that huge.
He's
boulder.
behind that boulder,
Yeah.
and he steps out with the stick bow and just
so sweet.
smokes
That
him.
dude was.
I gotta
he's
show you this
unreal.
video.
Yeah,
It's
I gotta see
crazy,
that.
bro. It's like
So
probably
sweet.
the video looks like it's 70 years old. Like it doesn't look real, but then you just see this thing moving and it looks like another boulder. Like it looks like another boulder, but they kind of get in closer and it's a freaking giant bear. I think it was the world record at the time.
Probably was. Yeah.
And
Definitely with a bow.
Definitely, yeah, 100%. And him and I think he has another guy with him, or maybe he's solo, is like behind this giant rock, and it kind of like comes out to the side, and he smokes it at probably 5 yards.
It's close.
I don't even know how they got that on video. It's like back then, like they had to have like a full on
One of those
setup, like the
yeah.
craziest setup to try to get
those
'cause-
huge cameras they were lugging around.
Yeah, no, there's no way. I mean, nowadays it's like anybody can film hunts and stuff.
Right.
But back then it was. I don't think that they had the.
Jeez.
Yeah, they didn't have the right equipment. Still got it.
Is it? Do people get killed on bear hunts?
Oh
like,
yeah,
often.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It happens. Yeah,
It happens.
yeah. I mean, is it often? Well, I mean, not a lot of people are going on bear hunts,
Yeah.
so it's like
Relative.
it's relative. Yeah, but
It's definitely happened before.
it happens. Yeah, people get mauled. and
Especially
stuff.
wounded bears. Wounded bears a lot of times are like super dangerous.
That's the dangerous part. It's not like a lot of times when you're hunting them, they're not really like sure what's going on. Like for the most part, they're not real. I mean, they're the apex predator, and so they're not like there'll be a little skittish of you. Some of them will, but like some of them will come up to you. When I was in Alaska, we had a sow come up to us like 30 yards, just like walk right up to us and like look at us for a while, just kind of check us out. Like they're not really like afraid. Like they could be afraid, but they're curious as well.
Got it.
Just kind of depends the mood. And but then when they're injured, like if you shot one, that's when people get jacked up because then they go in after them and the brush is thick. You don't know where they're at,
You're in their
and
territory.
then all of a sudden, boom, that or get in between, like a sow and her cubs. Like that's not good. Obviously, everybody knows that, but that could be dangerous as well.
Dang.
Yeah.
Have you had any like close encounters with anything?
Not like near death experiences. Well, I guess that's not true. My dad almost stepped on a huge rattlesnake one time when we were just out hiking. Just kind of scouting some new ground. Almost stepped on a huge rattlesnake. It was probably like a 50-inch rattlesnake, which is big.
Dang.
And it was like as thick as my forearm. Like it was a big snake. And he almost stepped right on it.
Wow.
My dad's a quiet guy, and he yelled a little bit. He started high stepping out of there. It was.
Yeah.
But this past year we were rifle hunting, and we came up on a sow and a couple cubs, but they were more curious than anything.
Right.
And it was in some thicker brush, and they heard us moving, and they got curious and came probably within 20 yards. So, but I never felt like endangered by them. Black bears are a lot different too than a grizzly or a brown bear.
Yeah.
So
Black bear, you could probably like toss it around, like no big deal.
yeah.
If it's like a small bear,
Got it.
big bear would be like a little bit of a
Yeah.
challenge, but you'd be fine.
Not
Be
worried
fine.
about it.
No
They've been spotted a good amount of times recently in like Lamont and stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I saw one not that long ago. I didn't see it personally. Actually, my in-laws took a picture of it in the middle of the road in Pleasant Gap, and it was probably like a 400-pound bear. Like it was
Yeah.
big. It was like it was not a little bear, I think it had been eating like garbage or something.
Yeah, I lived in Pleasant Gap for a while, and
That's right.
And the bears on trash night would come down the road and just smash everybody's trash
Really?
can.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Bird feeders too. Our neighbors told us about their bird
Dang.
feeders getting messed up. So
That's
they're
wild.
definitely, they're not dumb. You know,
Right.
if it's
No.
easy food, they're gonna. And once they know it's there, they'll keep coming back.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, when we were in Alaska, I heard a really crazy fact about bears. So it's actually kind of a double fact about bears and also about moose. So moose will calve in the same place every year and the same day. So the exact same place, the exact same day. So like there's a tree right here and they're 50 feet to the left. On May 28th, there'll be May 28th next year, 50 feet to the left of that tree, like calve. If a bear sees it or finds it, they'll obviously, free lunch, and then they'll come back the exact same day the next year and do it again. They know and they remember exactly the location and the timing of when they calve. So it's just a free lunch every year. Once
Moose doesn't change it up. They're not smart.
They won't change. They go to the same place for whatever reason. So yeah, I thought that was really crazy. Just like how smart they are.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Deer do the same things like bucks. They'll know when like does are coming into heat, and they'll come into the same spot.
Yeah.
I've had it happen on trail camera. I'll be like, I know this buck's gonna show up in the next couple of days, and they do. It's pretty wild how consistent they are, considering they don't have a date calendar to
They
look
don't have
at.
a clock. They don't have anything to look at. They just know.
wild.
They just know internally.
So
They're just in
crazy.
tune with it. Yeah. So did your dad get you into hunting? Is it like a family thing?
Yeah, my dad. Yeah, he was definitely the one who got me into hunting. He did a little bit of like rifle hunting when he was a kid, but he didn't start shooting archery till he got into college. One of his college wrestling coaches actually got him into it, and then kind of a hobby that turned into a business. He had his archery shop, and then I just grew up coming up to the archery shop shooting, and then when I was old enough to start pulling enough the poundages, like 35 pounds in PA.
Yeah.
Once I could do that, then I started bow hunting with him. But before that, I had gone and I'd hunt with him even before that. So, yeah, he's definitely the reason I got into it, and I just took off from there. And
Yeah.
it's a crazy passion now.
For sure. Yeah. What was the first animal you killed with a bow?
First animal I killed with a bow. It was a whitetail in PA. Actually, it's the biggest buck I've ever killed.
No way.
I kid you not. Yeah, I was 9 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, you must have been hyped.
Oh, I was so hyped. And like I said, my dad's not a guy to get really excited or anything. But I remember after shooting this deer, I was like, "Hey, you think we can get that like European mounted?" He looked at me, and goes, "Are you serious? You're getting that shoulder mounted?"
Wow.
And
You don't know. It's your first deer.
yeah, I didn't even look. I knew it was a buck, but I didn't know how big. Like I
Right.
just shot it pretty much. But what's funny about that story is that morning I missed a different buck, like the same spot that was much smaller than the one
Yeah.
I ended up killing.
It usually goes the other way.
Yeah, usually
You miss
other
the
way.
big one and hit the small one. Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
And
awesome.
I missed a big 4-corner in the morning, and then ended up shooting. It was a big 10-point. It's like 120-inch 10-point. Which in
Nice.
PA's
That's a
in that
big deer,
area
yeah.
is pretty good. There's some bigger ones around, but
Yeah.
in my lifetime, I've only had one opportunity to kill one bigger, and I goofed it up.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's crazy how easy it is to just like, I mean, you might not even have done really anything that wrong, and it just like, things don't work out. There's nothing really that is that out of your control, other than hunting. You got a live animal on the other end of the equation.
Yeah, there's just so many factors that you don't have control over that can go wrong, like the wind direction change.
For sure.
You have no control over that, and
Wind,
that'll get you every time.
Yeah. Just the littlest movement or,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right?
Those big bucks, I feel like they have like a sixth sense. Like sometimes like everything can be in your favor, and for whatever reason they just wig out. Like they just don't like something. It doesn't even make sense. It's like for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like a energy they can feel or whatever, but there's something about those big mature bucks. They
100%.
just
Vision, they're still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
They know. Dude, elk are very similar. Like this was 3 years ago. I was up in a tree stand in Colorado, and I had like the biggest bull I've ever seen walk out at like, so I was in the tree and it walked out like straight to me, and it was probably started out maybe like 30 yards away, but I had the tree and like limbs in my way, so I didn't have a shot, and it was just walking straight by me, and like the way that I set up, I drew, and I couldn't move. I thought he was going to come, so he starts walking straight at me, and like the way that made the most sense was he was going to come this way.
Right.
Because I had a guy calling too, and he was coming that way.
Yeah.
So I had like this huge opening this way, so I was like getting ready to shoot, and he goes this way, and he stops, and I'm like, shit, and I'm like at full draw, and it's already been like 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And then he stops, and he waits there for about 5 seconds, and then he starts going the other way. And bro, I couldn't move this way because the way the tree was.
I gotcha.
I had to spin, so I spun
The whole way around.
the whole way around, and I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And this is literally like a 360-inch bull for sure. And I spun all the way around, and then he walks straight. He's walking straight underneath me, and I'm like, at this point, I've been holding 45 seconds at least, and he stops. Like the tree's right here. If he takes one more step, I'll have like a perfect shot, like through his lungs. Like all he needs to take is one more step.
Yeah.
And he stops and he sits there for like, it felt like minutes, but it was probably like 30 more seconds. So I already held for like over a minute, and I'm just like waiting there, and I'm like starting to like shake a little bit, and he's just not moving. And I'm like, what the hell? And he just turns and runs off.
Oh my!
And never took a step, and I had to let down. I never had a shot at him. It was devastating, bro. And it was like, he literally could have done like anything else. If he would have went any other way or one more step, or I could, or anything. I was like, what the frick? It was so frustrating.
Could have jumped on his back.
I could, dude. I literally, if I wouldn't have been at full draw, if I could have stepped out, I could have dropped on him.
Yeah.
And it's just no. But who was that close to me? He was probably. I mean, I was pretty high in the tree because of the way it was set up, but he was like right underneath me. Basically, he was like feet away.
Dang.
Yeah, it was.
That's crazy.
And it was like. It was the worst feeling ever. I was just like, crushed me, bro. Just because you couldn't do anything. And I'm like, I wanted it so bad. It was the biggest bull I had ever seen.
Jeez.
Yeah. Especially like when I feel like I've only ever hunted turkeys, which is, they call it like poor man's elk hunting.
Same thing, yeah.
But when you're calling and they're coming in looking for you, it just adds a whole, like the interaction with them, it adds just a different piece to the hunt. And I think it's really incredible how they can pinpoint noise, and like when they come in and they don't see what's making that noise, like they just know like this isn't right, and then they get out of there. I feel like that's why it can be like the most rewarding but frustrating hunting too. You're like, what is going on? Like, why? It just seems like nothing's going right or in your favor.
But then when it does, you're just
like, when it comes together, it's
the best feeling. It's the best feeling. Oh, it's such a good feeling. Making a good shot and just feeling like everything worked out. It's just it's so tough to do. So yeah, it's fun.
I had somebody ask me a question the other day. I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
So they asked me like, if you could, or I'll change the question a little bit. So like, what is a better feeling? Like putting a good shot on a deer or an elk, or like winning the nationals, like the feeling. And which one do you like more? Somebody asked me this, and I was like,
"That's a great question."
That's a long question.
They're different. They're two different feelings, but the immediate satisfaction that I get from putting like a good shot on a deer that I've been like putting a lot of time and effort in is it's hard to beat.
It's definitely not like clear cut in my mind.
Yeah, dang. It's not in mine either.
That's crazy.
It's not in mine either.
I think that it's I don't know. That's tough.
I know.
Because I'm thinking about it, and my initial reaction was like, well, the first time I won the nationals, like I would pick that.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking about like the first time I shot a deer, or the first time I shot an animal, and I was like, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I would say like, I would say probably winning the nationals. I've put more time into that.
Mm-hmm.
But the feeling of like, I think that for me, I haven't maybe made that equivalent in like a hunt. Like I've killed some big stuff and stuff that got me really excited. But if I killed like something crazy that I was really, grinding for, like let's say I did like a 14-day backpack hunt in Montana and killed like a giant, like killed like a 380 bull. Like that might, you know, that's like, I don't know how you beat that. Like that's such a freaking cool, because there's something about like wrestling, you just expect it a little more, I think. And hunting, you can't. Like if you start expecting it, it's just not going to go your way. Yeah. At least that's been my experience. Like you got to like let go of, you know, trying to control everything and just like be in the moment. And there's something that's really cool about that. Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. I think for me, it's like the difference between like winning the nationals and shooting a big deer like that is like just something primal, especially when you're bow hunting. Yeah. It just triggers something primal in you. I don't know what it is. That's what I think is a little bit different. Yeah. It's like that primal satisfaction versus like, totally, I've worked my whole life to achieve this.
It's more innate.
Wrestling since you're 5. You know? So
yeah, wrestling, it's more like, in your mind, I would say. And like hunting is more like in your like soul almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It's like, oh, like, yeah, in a way. But, they're both great.
Both amazing. Yeah. I couldn't imagine life without
you know what the best one, you know what the best feeling is though, is knocking somebody out cold. It's crazy, bro. That's a crazy feeling.
I haven't experienced that, but maybe someday we'll see.
Like that might be the best. And if I think that if you did that for like a world title, I could just imagine like that's got to be like Conor McGregor 10-second knockout on Jose. Like that's got to be like that's to me like the top of that's the pinnacle of all the good feelings. Yeah, somebody I was golfing once and somebody hit a good shot and they were just like, you can't beat that feeling, man. Like just hitting a perfect golf shot, goes right at the hole, and I was like, dude, I can think of like 7 things. I can think of like 7 things that can beat that. But I mean, I get it. It's a good feeling. Like there are certain things that like bring that feeling in life where you're just like, it's like, I don't even know. There should be a word for it, but
yeah, it's probably a Japanese word for it.
Probably, yeah, for sure. Ono. Yeah, we have to ask him. Like, Ono, what's a word for a feeling like when you win world championships? Let me tell you about a rookie mistake I used to make all the time. Eating the same 3 meals over and over again. Chicken and rice, ground beef and rice, maybe a smoothie if I was feeling wild. I thought I was being efficient, but honestly, I was bored out of my mind. Let's be real. When you're bored with your food, it's way easier to fall off track. That's why I started using Tastemade Plus. They've got this personalized meal planner that builds your week out for you based on what you actually like to eat. You can swap stuff out, delete what you don't want, and it'll even build your grocery list for the week. It's like having a meal coach in your pocket. Plus, they've got step-by-step videos, so even if you're not great in the kitchen, you'll still crush it. My current go-to is the blackened salmon with avocado salsa. Tastes great, takes like 20 minutes, and feels like a cheat meal even though it's clean. And get this, there's even a cooking mode that keeps your screen awake while you're following along. No more touching your phone with messy hands mid-recipe. If you're tired of eating the same thing every day, Tastemade Plus is 100% the move. Try Tastemade Plus free for 7 days right now at tastemade.com/Nickals. As a listener, you'll also get 40% off your first year. Cancel anytime, no pressure. That's tastemade.com/NICKALS. Now back to the show. So let's talk about wrestling a little bit. So you got Final X coming up. How you feeling?
Excited. Yeah, pretty. I've never obviously competed in the event, but I've gone to a couple, and I think it's a cool event. I like 2 out of 3 series. I've got to do it a few times, so yeah, I'm excited. Preparation's gone well, and I really haven't stopped wrestling, so I feel pretty well prepared.
Yeah. Have you like when you were growing up as a kid? Did you do a lot of freestyle?
I started wrestling freestyle when I was in like 4th grade.
Okay.
I stopped playing soccer and
retired from your other passion.
Yeah. Yeah, when I realized I was going to be the next Messi, I was like, all right, maybe it's time to switch things up, try something different. But yeah, I started wrestling freestyle in 4th grade, and I would just go to like a local tournament and qualify for the state tournament, and then I'd wrestle the state tournament. So I'd wrestle like 2 tournaments a year up until I was like the schoolboy age or whatever, and then I started wrestling like the schoolboy duels, and then I wrestled the cadets and juniors and stuff. But the last couple of years I haven't done as much as what I would have liked just coming off the season. My freshman year I had an injury that I didn't get to wrestle any of the qualifiers. And then last year was the Olympic year, so it kind of switched everything up. But I did get to wrestle in the Olympic trials and then the non-Olympic weight trials. So, yeah, that freestyle is probably my favorite over folk style. I just think I like the gameness of it. Like you obviously know that. Like I feel like it's more tactical and like mat awareness compared to folk style. I feel like folk style has a lot of conditioning, just who wants it more a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah. Did your dad get you into wrestling too?
Yeah, kind of. My uncle more so at the beginning than my dad. My dad was just he had his archery shop and stuff going on, and he never really like pushed me into it. But then when I kind of like committed to it, he's like, all right, my dad wrestled in college, has a good baseline understanding of wrestling. So then he's like, all right, I'll help out and take you where you need to go and whatever. So yeah, so both of them got me into wrestling. They both wrestled at Lock Haven.
Got it.
And we're exposed to some pretty high levels of wrestling. Not to the extent that we have been fortunate to, but they were two guys that, like, after they were done competing, they learned a lot more because they were just super passionate about it.
Right.
And started helping coaching and stuff, and just learned a lot after they were done competing. So
yeah.
And they still are, like, both of them love to learn new stuff, which is really cool to see. My uncle runs a pretty successful high school program at Gettysburg High School. And my dad's kind of stepped away from coaching for the time being, but he ran a high school program. But he just has notebooks full of wrestling techniques that he had learned from going and watching camps I was going to, or when I started going to M2, he wrote down all that stuff. And then all the drills we were doing at M2, he'd take back and we'd doing it at the high school.
Yeah.
It's really neat, and I really appreciate him doing that. Just really helped me reinforce good habits and just be exposed to that high level of wrestling.
Right. When you were young and starting out, when was the first moment that you realized that you really enjoyed the sport, or that you found like your first kind of success?
Yeah. I think I always enjoyed the sport and just really enjoyed competing.
Yeah.
But for a long time, I would get really nervous before I competed, so I would kind of associate that with it not being fun.
Right.
But once I kind of got over, I still get nervous, still get those competition nerves, but it's more like an excited. So I think once I kind of got over that, where I was so worried about losing, I started to enjoy it a lot more and really committed to it. So I'm trying to think of a specific moment. I don't know I think it was honestly over a period of time, because I'd still fall back into that trap and be like, I beat this guy, and because I beat him, I should beat this guy. And then I'd be like really nervous to lose again. So it's been kind of a constant battle over my lifetime, I would say. But I think once I got into high school and got exposed to higher levels of wrestling, and where it wasn't just like working hard, like I actually started to learn some higher level wrestling techniques, I'd say that's when I really was like, wow, there's a lot to this sport. And like I just wanted to learn and keep learning and kind of figure those things out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot. I definitely experienced it when I was a kid, like thinking about losing and getting super nervous, thinking about like what my family was going to think. What do you think was the biggest change in your mindset if like another kid is coming up that's experiencing something similar?
Yeah. I would say just constantly just trying to challenge yourself to get better, like compete against yourself more so than others. When I started thinking about like every time I step on the mat, I just want to be a better version of myself compared to the last time I stepped on the mat. When I started making it more about competing against myself than others, that really helped me. I don't know why, just something in my brain kind of clicked, and I was like, I'm going to take one piece from this last match I wrestled and try to get a little bit better the next one. When I started doing that, I started thinking about just getting better rather than if I was going to win or lose. I think that also helped me, like, even when I was winning, like I was still doing things wrong, but I didn't even think about it because I was like, well, I'm winning.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So who cares if I'm winning?
Mm-hmm.
But once I started challenging myself just to get a little bit better, every time I stepped on the mat, it was like, even when I was winning, I was picking little stuff like, I could have maybe changed this or changed that, and just taking those things to practice and working on them. So I feel like once I started kind of taking that approach, the nerves and things just kind of, I still obviously get nervous to compete because it's like that kind of unknowing, but it changed from being like it would cause me to not compete to my potential to where I was probably competing the best I'd ever competed, and I was getting better every time I stepped out there. So yeah, it's kind of the approach I took that really helped me. But I'll still catch myself even to this day falling in that trap. I'm like, like I really want to win.
Yeah, of course.
I sure would like to win.
Yeah.
But I think that's like anything in life. It's just even one, like you never have it mastered. I think just always just that figuring things out. And I think too, just being faithful has helped me too, just putting it in God's hands, realizing that, he has a bigger plan for me than what I think. And it's like a much greater plan than what I have for myself. So once I kind of put myself in that position where I was like, I'm just going to be faithful and put my trust in God. And if things aren't going according to plan, that's okay. So I think that also really helped me kind of combat my nerves. But like I said, I still get them.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys, I mean,
Of course.
you compete real estate now, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
a cutthroat business.
Yeah.
From what I hear.
Yeah, it's pretty
And then
cutthroat.
obviously you fighting, I'm sure you guys both still feel those nerves. So
Yeah, I don't think it goes away.
no. I hope kids realize that too, because I was under the impression when I was a kid, I was like, man, once I get so good, be easy, no nerves. And it's like the opposite.
Yeah.
Remember Coach Kale telling us that. I'm sure you guys remember him always telling us, once you get reach high levels, it's like the expectation almost gets more and more and more, and your nerves can build unless you find an outlet for it.
Right. The story that he tells that I always really appreciate, he tells about his coach when he was Bobby Douglas, when he was going for his 4th national title.
Yeah.
And was talking about like, all the pressure and like undefeated, like there's so much weight on him. And his coach would say, hey man, like if you don't want this pressure, like if you don't want to feel anxiety, like just lose.
Yeah.
Like, you can just lose and it's all over. And like, I think when in our heads, we make up this idea that the outcome, it's almost like our life is going to be over when you lose. And the reality is like, you're not any different. You're the same person. You're going to wake up and do the same things and be with the same people. And, I think that that doesn't, prior to the event, you trick yourself into thinking like, this is it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because what's ingrained in our DNA and our biology is like, back in the day, if you like didn't, kill this animal or you didn't, make the jump across this cliff, like you did die.
Yeah.
Was it?
That it actually was. I think that's probably where it comes from, like a natural instinct of like, hey, if you don't, like, that's why we have fight or flight, right? It's like, okay, if you lose, but now it's like, okay, let's control that and channel it into being our best and focusing on improving and growing and getting better. Yeah. But it's hard. It's never like, it's never
definitely not.
You never arrived.
Yeah.
No.
It's always a journey.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd say for kids, that's the biggest thing. I think just realizing that the nerves don't go away.
Yeah.
That was something I fell into that trap. I was like, man, once I get so good, it's going to be easy. Yeah, I'm just going to do whatever.
It's worse. Yeah. So when you were younger, did you have goals that you set out for yourself, or do you remember like being a kid and thinking like, oh, I want to be a, state champion, a wrestling college, or an NCAA champion? Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think when I was coming up through grade school, like it was just always like striving to be like the PJWs was like the big tournament then.
Yeah.
So I was like always just striving to like be a state champ. And then I didn't really think about college wrestling until I was in high school. In my mind, I was going to be a mountain man. And then I figured out that it's hard to make a living doing that now.
Professional mountain man.
Yeah. Once I started wrestling at M2 and got exposed to that higher level of wrestling, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to wrestle in college now. So yeah, it was always just to be 4-time national champ. Then after that, it's like,
right.
Just striving to be the best. And so yeah, I definitely set goals like that. And then I went through a period of time where when I was a kid, I set like rep goals. I had like one of those. I think they're called Atom machine. Like the machines that hang on the wall in wrestling rooms, like a dummy. Yeah, I would like set rep goals for like a week, and I'd go out and practice a certain shot like before school, like get so many reps. So I tried doing that for a while, and I think that was good, but it's not the same as wrestling someone, obviously. But
Right.
I think that was good for me, just to set a goal like that and then be able to, see myself hit that goal and then go into practice and hitting those shots and things. I think that was goals like that were good. And then it was tough for me too because I put a lot of pressure on myself too to achieve those goals then. So when I came up short from those goals, it was tough for me to kind of process that.
Yeah.
So then I think setting goals like that, I almost call those dreams more so than goals. I think goals for me is like, getting a schedule together and hitting all my points in my training would be my goal now. And then my dreams are like to win the Olympics, the Nationals, the Worlds. And then I feel like for me, it just, in my brain, for whatever reason, it just helps a lot more not put so much pressure on myself to, it's not like the end all be all.
Right.
It's like, I did the process right.
Yeah.
And now I can go compete free.
Right.
And that just kind of gives me confidence when I go compete.
Yeah. So the goals are more like tasks. It's like,
correct.
Hey, my goal for this week is, X amount of reps at practice. And it's like stuff that
just like
you're in control of.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be like a numerical thing. It can just be like, hey, I'm going to go, work this technique this week. Maybe I watch the match back and I seen a little something I have a question about. Like, I'm going to go ask a question about this. And I think once I started doing that, it just helped me for whatever reason in my brain.
Yeah.
I get so fixated on that goal that I would miss out on a lot of the things along the way. And I feel like once I started doing that, I was so much more present in every day in what I was doing. And I wasn't just thinking about like, that state tournament's coming up, that national tournament's coming up. So once I started doing that, I feel like it just kind of put my mind at ease.
Right. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think Mitchell was saying something similar of just having that one idea of a title, whatever it is. Like, you can start doing whatever it takes to win, but you're not doing whatever it takes to improve.
Yep.
In whatever craft you're in.
Yeah.
And that really like changes the focus. So it sounds like you're super like process driven now. And if you do that process, the goal kind of is inevitable. How often do you still think about that goal?
I still think about it pretty often.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm hitting all these steps to achieve that. But yeah, I think I'm just a lot more, like you're saying, process oriented now and just more present. And it's benefited a lot of aspects of my life. My school is better because I'm not just constantly thinking like that tournament's coming up or, my relationships and things. It just is really helped me just be more present and just a lot more at ease. And I've enjoyed it a lot more once I started doing that rather than just worrying about that, achieving that end all be all goal.
Yeah.
So
talk a little bit about, you brought up, the feeling after a loss or after not accomplishing a goal. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about how you process that and what your strategy's been like to, kind of deal with that part of the sport.
Yeah. It's been an evolution over time. I would lose at first. It was very difficult for me.
Yeah.
It's even like my freshman year losing the national finals. It was really difficult for me for a while. I was pretty bummed out about it, and I just felt like I didn't give myself like a fair chance. Really, like I didn't compete as well as I thought I could have. So I felt like I kind of done myself an injustice in a way. But eventually, I just kind of got back in the room and talked to the coaches, and they told me it's like, no, it can't really change it now, and all we can do is learn from it and get better. So then obviously this year coming up short, it was a lot easier for me to process it and be like, it didn't go according to the way I had planned, but I have faith in God's plan that there's something better waiting for me, even though it might not seem better to me at the time. I'm trying to work on not asking why, just trusting. And so I feel like I did a much better job of not asking why and questioning what may have went wrong. I went back and I was like, I get myself under control. I got to get my weight back down. And now my team needs me to open it up on the backside and get some team points. So I feel like in this past year, with me still being able to compete after my loss, it benefited me in the fact that I could think about my teammates and not be so much like poor me. I lost and didn't achieve my goal. So I just shifted into that. My teammates need me to score some points on the backside, and that's my mission now. And my mission is to get the next best thing. So just having that short-term memory is kind of helped me to process losses. But I just also don't get so wrapped up in it like I used to. I've lost a lot in my lifetime. So I think just like anything, once you've done it, you kind of figure out how to get better at it and take it to make something good out of it. So
yeah, absolutely.
What's your experience been of the Penn State teams? We've had amazing teams the last decade or so, but it's been unique 4-year period or however long that all these studs are on the same exact team. How's that experience been with all the different personalities and dynamics?
Yeah, it's been really neat to be a part of some pretty unique teams. So my freshman year, I was on a team with a lot of guys that were returning COVID guys. So they were older and really good leaders, and just how they would approach competing was very interesting to watch. And I feel like our team I was kind of like the young guy, and they would really pick me up and, try to teach me as much as they could along the way. And then it kind of shifted into my sophomore year. A lot of those guys were gone, so it was like almost a whole new team and a whole new atmosphere. And I feel like that team was pretty unique in that it came like a lot of guys from different backgrounds, and a lot of guys had kind of stepped up to fill in spots, and it was a cool team to be a part of. And then obviously getting to break the point record was pretty wild. And then shifting into this year, I feel like it was a lot of guys that returned from the team the year previous. Obviously, we lost a good leader in Aaron. He was a super big asset to our team. But I believe everybody returned, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the similar faces that we built relationships around, and just what I really appreciate is how much we push one another. It's just such a competitive room that it's like, it almost forces you to get better, or you're going to get left behind. And so I'm pretty thankful for those guys, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Yeah, I think that something that I feel, you just brought up, like how competitive the room is, and that, if you don't match the intensity, you're just going to, kind of fall back.
Yeah.
And I feel like listening to you, it's clear, like you're super competitive. Like, where did that come from? Did you always have that in you, like from as a kid, or was there something that happened or anything like that?
I'd say I've always had it. Probably, I'm going to say it's probably genetic of some sort. It just comes from my family. I come from a pretty competitive family.
Right.
Game nights in my house get pretty wild. Like, everybody is so competitive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just the way I was raised, it was like, just always just striving to do our best. And, I think I had an older sister, so I was always pretty competitive with her, and she was a athlete too. She played soccer at Lock Haven, and she did for a long time. Yeah. She matured really fast.
Okay.
Yeah, they always do.
Yeah.
So
Tony had the same thing.
She's like the same size she was in like 4th grade. I was a pretty scrawny kid. I wrestled 106 as a freshman.
Really?
Yeah. So I was a pretty scrawny kid. So she would beat me up pretty good.
When was the first time that you could take her?
I was probably between my.
Or are we still trying to get there?
He's like,
she's gonna tell you that tomorrow. But right between my sophomore and junior year, I started getting a little bit bigger, and
so that's pretty old. That's like 17.
Yeah.
16,
Oh yeah.
17.
Yeah.
How much older is she than you?
She's 2 years older than I am.
2 years. So she was like, senior, freshman in college.
Yeah.
And you were like, all right, it's my time now. I'm the captain now.
I don't know. I feel like too we hit an age where it was like, all right, we don't have to fight each other anymore. It's just like
Yeah. Makes sense.
we were just kind of friends after that.
Yeah, you didn't really have to have like a moment where the torch was handed off. It was kind of just like a slow like
understanding.
No, neither of y'all like you know, but she still thinks maybe a little bit like that type of thing.
I shot in on my sister when I was like in 7th grade.
Hold up, what? You shot like a double leg?
Yeah,
on Lizzie,
and she sprawled so hard.
She crushed you.
Crushed me,
yeah.
bro.
Oh my gosh.
I never felt anything like it. I was like, what the hell?
I love that you went to her double leg.
Yeah.
And she sprawled.
She sprawled, bro.
Crushed you.
Never got it back.
Baseline
either.
defense,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Funny.
Same thing. Yeah, never got it back. It's just like slow understanding of like, you're never gonna do that to me again.
See, for me, I'm the oldest, so I never had that.
Yeah.
I was always with my sisters, like, and I don't have any brothers, so with my sisters, it was like, don't hurt them, don't hurt them, don't hurt them.
Yeah.
Even if they ganged up with me, it didn't matter. Yeah.
Didn't do anything.
No.
Yeah, when they hit puberty and mature, like
It's different.
that year, it just they got that different strength. They were not
sure.
there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did y'all ever have to wrestle girls when you were a kid?
No.
I did.
I did a couple
Wrestling
times.
106 in high school. I did. Couple.
Any tough girls?
Yeah. My uncle actually coached a girl that was pretty tough.
Oh, yeah?
Montana DeLauder. She's really tough. She was actually one of my main training partners growing up.
Yeah.
And so I never competed against her in high school, but growing up, she was a good training partner for me.
Yeah.
She's pretty tough. Had some pretty good success.
Yeah.
But
I think about like, did you remember you probably, I don't know if you were there now, you were probably getting ready for the nationals, but when they did the Penn State youth tournament and just watching Sterling just whoop butt, just making every single kid cry. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I can't,
They'll never forget
it hurts so much worse.
Yeah.
You see and these kids are good. It's not like they're like scrub kids. They're like good.
Yeah.
And she's like beating the dog out of them.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different world out there.
Yeah, my dad always had us forfeit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was like,
That's
no,
cool.
I'm
It's
not
like,
going to
no,
do
it's a
it.
lose-lose. You're not gonna
It's a lose-lose.
I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I wanted to ask you about redshirting because we had Josh Barr and a couple of the guys, and like when we were in college, redshirting was like the standard.
Everybody redshirted.
Yeah.
But now it seems like, obviously you didn't. Like it seems kind of like Josh was saying that he felt like the backup when he was redshirting. Mm-hmm. So what's your perspective of that now? Do you think that's kind of phasing out?
I don't know. I think it's probably a couple different things. I think with guys getting held back now probably helps kind of eliminate that redshirt year possibly.
Right.
But I don't think getting held back can really replace like a redshirt year, like that experience. My situation was kind of unique in the fact that it was like a good opportunity for me to step into the lineup. And I think like guys redshirting, I don't think it necessarily means that they're the backup. I think a lot of times when a guy redshirts, it's like you're saying, it's kind of like almost a standard, but it's just an opportunity for that guy to get a taste into college wrestling and just kind of get used to it and just a year to improve. And it's redshirt years, I think, are nice because you're able to compete a lot more, in my opinion. You're hitting tournaments where you're hitting 4 or 5 matches and just getting that match experience. So I think in a lot of cases, those redshirt years are pretty invaluable. But my situation was a little bit different because I was wrestling in college opens when I was a senior in high school. So I was getting those college matches, and I was wrestling at the RTC with college guys. So I could almost take in a redshirt year in a sense and gotten that experience just when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So no, I think if I had taken a redshirt, I wouldn't have felt like a backup. I think I would have probably just felt like it was an opportunity to get more matches and just kind of figure out the college scene. So I could see where guys are coming from, but I think in my mind, if I was going to redshirt, that's probably the approach I would have taken. But yeah, I think it seems like guys are now starting to be able to compete on the college stage a lot younger and younger. And I think when you guys were probably coming to college, like you just hadn't seen that. Guys didn't have the opportunity to go wrestle with college guys, Yeah,
there's really not many people that I knew that didn't redshirt.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and if they did, they didn't really do well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't it was like, oh, you're like the only guy we have in the lineup, so you got to wrestle. But
Right.
I mean, our freshman year, it was like not 80% of the team, but I would say like 80% of the starters for the next year were all red shirts.
Yeah.
So like, it was, us, Nolf, Shaq, Zane, Neville's, Nico Megaludis, even though those guys were a little older than us, they all redshirted.
Right.
It was crazy. It was like when we would do, the drills we do where it's like the starter has to get the tasks done.
Yeah.
On whoever's not the starter, it was like toss up, bro.
Yeah.
Like we could have had our red shirts duel the starters, and it would have been like a close duel.
Close duel, yeah.
Yeah, because we had our class was crazy, but also it was just what you did. Like you just redshirted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time that guys got in the room was if they did a gray shirt. So
Right.
I feel like that's kind of like being pushed back to your senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Don't really see that anymore.
Seems different. Yeah.
Definitely. I think it's personality-wise, too, you have to kind of read a guy to know whether that's going to benefit him or not.
Yeah.
It's like a gray shirt year is a lot of responsibility on your own. So if you know a guy doesn't have maybe the most self-driven or whatever, and he's not super organized, maybe that's a guy you look at and say, oh, maybe we don't gray shirt this guy. We have him finish out high school and then bring him in where it's a little bit more structured, and if he needs, have him red shirt.
Yeah.
But I think, too, it's just like the RTC programs have opened up opportunities for high schools to start wrestling college guys. And I think too, when you guys were probably competing, it was like this idea that there was such a big gap between high school and college wrestling, and we were just kind of told that all the time.
Yeah.
Then you start wrestling these college guys, and you're like,
yeah,
it's really not that big of a difference,
I never really wrestled a college guy until pretty much like I was almost, like a senior in high school, and I didn't get to train with them. It was like I did a couple tournaments. I got to wrestle college guys, and it did seem like a big deal because it wasn't like a thing back then.
Yeah.
You didn't have a lot of high school.
Yeah, when everybody's telling you it's a big deal, then you're like, well, this is a big deal,
Like it, yeah.
And so I remember just getting to wrestle. My senior year, I was in there wrestling college guys, and I was getting my butt kicked a lot. And then I was like, man, I remember going to that first open tournament with McKnight, and I look him like Michigan's bus pulls in, and I was like looking at Mark. I was like, dude, I don't know about this. We might be in the wrong place. And he's like, nah, dude, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. And then it was good. I wrestled like 5 matches against college guys, and I was like, wait, these guys are not as good as what I thought they were.
That's cool. Did you always know you wanted to go to Penn State?
Yeah.
I mean, you're from the area, training around here and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely did, and just the relationship I had with David, obviously wrestling at Penn State and stuff, it was a no-brainer that I was like, I want to wrestle at Penn State. And I'd wrestling at M2, I'd been exposed to that kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, that school of wrestling,
right,
or whatever. So, yeah, it was a pretty easy decision for me. And I just felt like if I went anywhere else, I would have been like, well, what could it have been if I went there?
Right.
And in my mind, it was like, if I want to be a national champ, I'm going to go there. And if I don't go there, I'm probably going to have to wrestle the guy on that team to be the national champ. So I might as well just go beat him in practice rather than beat him in competition,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the way I always thought about it. But I've been accused of being an unrealistic thinker too.
Are we all?
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. How has your weight gain been? Because I know you were kind of small guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're like medium guy.
Maybe big guy in the future.
Yeah.
We'll see.
How was that been for you? Have you had to really try? Because I know your body kind of adjusted really quickly after.
Yeah, no. It was definitely not like what you had to go through. For sure. After I made weight the last time, I told Cody, I was like, listen, dude, I'm going up in weight, and I'm just going to see how heavy I can get. Because I was like, it wasn't a hard cut to 57. It just took so much discipline and just so much energy and discipline that I just felt like I could put into other places.
Yeah.
It was almost that, like I was going to practice, and it was like, I'm going to work on wrestling, but then I have to cut weight. Like, I was coming with sweats and stuff every day, and I'd wrestle for 2 hours to get down the weight. So no, I think my body was just ready to grow. And I mean, I was wrestling the Olympic trials, and I'd wrestle 157. The weight was 74 kilos, 163. And so it was like, I just started training freestyle. It's kind of a quick turnaround from the nationals. And so I started training freestyle, and I was like, I hadn't checked my weight in a while. And it was like 3 days before the tournament. And I was like, better check my weight just to see. I like stepped on the scale, and I was like 175 pounds. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way. And then, so then my weight cut for that was kind of tough because I waited till last minute.
Yeah.
But then after that, consistently, I just consistent in the weight room and just trying to consume more calories. And so it was pretty easy for me to get up to 180. Optimally, I think I want to walk around probably 185. I think that'll be good. But after the Final X and stuff, I'll probably dedicate some more time to that. It's just tough to gain weight and compete at the same time.
Yeah.
So that'll be my focus after the Final X, because then it's a while to the Worlds and stuff. So, but it's nice wrestling 174 in college, and then 79 kilos is the same weight pretty much. So it's convenient. But I think in the future I'll probably gain some weight.
Right.
My dad's a big guy, and so we'll see. I mean, you see guys like as they mature, sometimes they just get way thicker. I think of like Aaron. When I first got here, Aaron was like
small.
He's kind of skinny 184 pounder, and now he's just filled out.
Yeah,
He looks huge.
Yeah.
He's huge.
True.
So we'll see. I'm not gonna try to right now put on a bunch of weight, but
Right.
see what happens in the future.
Yeah.
So Mountain Man is the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
Have
someday.
you thought about like after wrestling, coaching, fighting, anything like that?
Yeah, I've definitely thrown all those ideas around. I think right now just I'm going to wrestle at Nittany Lion for as long as I can, and then we'll see if I get interested in one of those other things. I've always been fascinated with fighting. I've always kind of just been a fighter. Like when I was wrestling growing up, I didn't know any technique. I just fought really hard. So I feel like that's something I could enjoy, but I don't know. I like coaching too, like doing clinics and things, but it's so time consuming to the point where I'm like, I just have other interests that I would like to kind of pursue, like hunting. Like, Coach Cunningham always talks about he loves hunting, but he just doesn't have the time to really do it. And so I'm not sure if I'm ready to give that up.
If you coach, it's like 365 days a year.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
all
like
in. It's all in.
Yeah, you can't. You're not. There's no month off here, month off. Like
Right.
no.
Casey does a good job of like scheduling. Like, all right, when we have an off day, like I'll go out for an evening hunt. But like in the morning, he's in there even still getting guys in tubs and stuff.
Still in there, yeah.
Me, I would have to not buy my hunting license. Like I would have an extreme
Otherwise,
problem.
you would just-
I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna be in late today, guys.
You
like,
miss a lot of training and practices just because you're out chasing deer. Huh?
Yeah.
Middle of the season,
the coaches
you
are
gotta tag. What are you gonna do?
Pretty good with me, and I'm like, hey, listen, like it's good weather coming up. I'll come in early in the morning, and then I'm gonna split for the woods.
Yeah.
That's
but
funny.
yeah, I would not have the self-discipline to be not. I wouldn't be able to put everything into coaching, and that's not fair to the guys that you'd be coaching. So
Yeah.
I just know myself too well.
Yeah.
Well, here's what we'll do. I have a outfitter license in the state of Colorado.
There we go.
We can get one in
I'm
PA,
talking about.
and now we can, you can guide hunts in Colorado. We'll guide some whitetail hunts in PA, and then we'll
like
just
this
be
idea.
set up, and you'll get to, train with NLWC, wrestle a little bit if you want, and then, when the time comes for hunting, you can do that. So do it up.
The World Championships for freestyle sets up real nice for a little fall tour
Yeah,
to do some
absolutely.
hunting.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I always try to schedule my fights now. I'm like, let's get an August fight. It'll be perfect. Then I'm like, ready to go. Like I've only been able to do it 1 year. Other years it hasn't worked out great, but it's nice to get that done before you can just be out in the woods and
Absolutely.
not worry about anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that stuff's super valuable if you have something that you can go do like that outside of your athletic pursuits, or, with you in real estate, if you have something you can go do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that stuff's really, really important.
Balance.
And I feel like, too, like when I'm out there in the outdoors, it's just like God's presence is so easily, like, I can grasp it. Like, it's so easy for me to grasp when I'm out there. It's like, wow, look at this all around you, how perfect. Everything works together. Like it's just in my mind real easy to see.
Yeah,
That's really
very
cool.
good.
Yeah, Bo says that too. I can definitely see that, just being in nature and turned off from everything and just so beautiful. That is something that I could get into, of just feeling that peace and presence, and then you can kill something at the end.
You know, all the times that I've like killed animals, it's pretty weird because a lot of times you're just out and you're by yourself or whatever, and it's just like you just become very present. It's like you can't think about, you know, you maybe at the beginning you're thinking about, you know, the future, you're thinking about the past, you're not really like locked in, and then at a certain point it kind of like starts, you know, bring it in, and then you're like right there in that moment. And I feel like I always like pray and talk to God, and I'm just like so thankful, and I feel like just like grateful to be outside, and it's just like, wow, like this is cool. And then, you know, every time I do that, cool stuff happens. Whether it's an animal,
see something neat.
Yeah, whether it's an animal that I like am looking for coming out in front of me, or just something crazy, like just seeing, you know, doe and a fawn playing, or like this one time we were in Colorado, and where we're set up, it's like we have a river bottom. It's like 100 acres where we can hunt, and then there's a big cliff, and then we can glass from top of the cliff. And my uncle and I were sitting on the top of the cliff, glassing down, and we saw a bunch of elk and deer and stuff, and it was really cool. And we were just kind of enjoying. It was the evening, so we were just kind of like winding down and about ready to leave, and I heard just like something rustling like to my right, and I looked over, and there was a pheasant, a rooster, and it was like kind of like just running straight at the cliff, and I was like, oh, what the hell? And it's like a 400-foot drop, like not like a little like hill. It's like it's big, and he's just like running straight at the cliff. And my uncle and I are just sitting there silent, and you can just hear his feet. They're like in the dirt, and he just takes off, and I'm like, oh. And then he just spreads his wings and glides like a half a mile down to the middle of the river bottom, and then eventually just like disappears into the greenery. And I was like,
So cool.
my uncle and I didn't say a word the whole time.
Yeah.
He literally took off, and he was like, and we were like, just watched him for about 10, 15 seconds just glide down. And then we looked at each other, and we were like,
did you see that? Just making sure you seen that,
We
and
were
then
like-
just make that up.
we were like, that was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen something
That's
like that
sick.
before. Like, it was so cool. And yeah, but just stuff like that you see, you know, if you're outside. And you're just
Nature
in it.
never ceases to amaze me.
For sure. Yeah, well, with that being said, let's get out of the studio.
Yeah, I agree.
We appreciate you coming on, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having
good
me
luck
on.
at Final X, and
Appreciate it.
you got anything for the listeners? Any you want to tell them where to follow you or find you or anything?
Yeah, I don't even know my Instagram, so
Just search his name.
Google
search
him.
my name. Google
Levi
him.
Haynes.
Yeah.
The Mountain
Appreciate
Man
you.
Haynes.
Man.
That's it.
There you
Yeah.
go. Awesome. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
bro.
you guys.
Appreciate you.